I'm going to be talking about the rule changes, some potential ones, if we have time. But the biggest rule change that just came out tonight, and I think probably the Saints. I think it was the Saints that proposed it, or a form of it.
Sure, it was.
New rule in the NFL is now pass interference will be challengeable, so you'll be able to challenge it, whether it's a call or a no call. So such as the NFC Championship game, the obvious missed call, you'll be able to throw a challenge flag towards that. To me, I don't think it was needed. I really don't. If you wanted to, you could have challenged PI on a lot of plays. That was just a 1 in a million missed calls. It's one of the worst no calls, but the chance of that happening again, 1 in a million to me. I didn't think this was a necessary rule change. I think it's going to drag on the games even longer, where now everyone's already saying, oh, these games are too long with the commercial breaks and the timeouts and 2-minute warnings and just, oh, the clock's running. Everyone's already saying the games are too long and the halftime, and now you're going to throw in another PI, even if there's a no call. What, are you going to spend 3 minutes looking at a call? Oh, well, he pushed on him a little. He maybe did this. Now, I understand if there's an obvious no call like it was in the NFC Championship game. I totally get that because that was absurd and the Saints should have gone to the Super Bowl. But I don't think it was necessary. And the Saints were going to go. The Saints have the biggest debate on their side is we should have gone to the Super Bowl. You cheated us out of a Super Bowl. You owe us this, it's terrible. And I hate to see it, but I just think it was an unnecessary change to the rules or addition to the rules.
I think that the problem is it's kind of similar to what defines a catch. If you're going to go in and review it, you're going to leave it up to the referee, and it comes down to their judgment.
Exactly.
So I agree with you with the whole time thing. I think that the game's already too long as it is, but the biggest thing that this does to me is that it's unnecessary.
Exactly.
It was a no call, and it happened, but now if we do this for every single penalty where we think maybe it's up to the ref's judgment, so maybe there's something that they find in the replay that gives them the authority to reverse the call. But typically, if it's a pass interference, it's the flow of the game. Now you're just messing with the flow of the game again. But what's to stop now? Because now that you've made pass interference penalties reviewable, now all penalties should be reviewable by that logic.
Bill Belichick's wanted that for years, and I think that's absurd. Because what you said, it's up to the referees every time. So unless it's something obvious like the no call. Yeah, I get that. It should have been a no call, but there's sometimes, when is that 1 out of every 100 times? Are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. It seems unnecessary. It's going to drag on the games because teams are going to be like, oh, it was a big play and there was a pass interference, or we're going to take the shot because we have to, so they throw a pass interference. Oh, 3 minutes looking at it. Yeah, there's no pass interference. We're moving on. So you're dragging on these games, and half of them are going to be games that no one cares about. And unless it's a big playoff game or playoff clinching game, no one cares. It's regular season, yeah, maybe it affects the seeding or whatever, but if it's a no-name game, like if it's the Raiders versus the Bills and they throw this flag, really, did you have to challenge this? I get always try to win, but it's just going to drag on games no one wants to watch. And I mean, if no one's watching them, then I guess it's whatever, but it's going to make games longer than they should be. Unnecessary, so unnecessary. Going to be talking about a couple new potential rule changes. Overtime was the Chiefs. They brought it up, new overtime rule. Similar to college, it allows both teams to have possession of the ball in overtime, even if the first team scores a touchdown. Seems, once again, unnecessary.
Was this proposed, or was this actually
proposed? This is not.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to change. They've already changed overtime because what are you going to do? You're going to have these NFL games where it's 72, 74. It's just going to, once again, drag on the game. It's going to make guys tired for next week. They're going to be more fatigued. It just seems a little absurd to me.
I don't think there should be ties, though. I kind of agree.
I'll agree with there shouldn't be ties. I think that's BS. But if you're talking a playoff game like this, there's two parts of the game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? Okay, if the Chiefs had won that coin toss, they probably would have won. Don't get me wrong, because we didn't have as solid as a defense. But I'm sorry, you had 3 third and longs. Make a stop.
Yeah.
You had your chances. Step up and play. There's two sides of the ball, defense and offense. That's why you have to build them both up. If you want to super load your offense, that's great. But if your defense can't do jack, then don't be crying back home when you can't win a game. It seems unnecessary. Now, don't get me wrong. If I had lost, if the Patriots lost, maybe I wouldn't feel as strongly about it because I would be upset. But to me, that's how it is. The way I'm looking at it now, there's two sides of the ball. You got to play. You step up. That's all it is.
Yeah, my problem is that why are the rules from college and NFL so different? If it's a rule in college, make it a rule in the NFL, or vice versa. I don't. It's the same thing with the whole 1 foot in to make a catch. I don't agree with that either. If you're gonna have the overtime thing, make it the same in college as it is in the NFL, so that way when these guys get there, they're prepared for it. I think honestly, I don't mind the idea of going back and forth for a touchdown. I think I understand it goes for the point system. Yeah, it might be a little messed up, but I'd rather it be one thing in college is the same thing in the NFL, vice versa. I don't understand why there needs to be different rules in each game.
To me, I like the difference a little. I like the 1 foot because college makes it a little more high scoring. There's so many games. You got to try to create better high scoring games in college. So you got to try to create some excitement. And that's why the overtime, I think college games are too long anyway, just off the bat. The Fiesta Bowl, first half was like 2.5 hours long. Absurd. And I understand it's a little different. There's going to be more advertisements in there. It's a Fiesta Bowl, all that. But even the national championship game, oh my, it was so long. So when you're watching these long games, you gotta get high scoring in there. So that's like I like the 1 foot. Oh, it gets into overtime, back and forth. You know what? I was sitting here the whole time. Might as well finish it. But in the NFL, it's like, come on, we don't need to drag this on another 2 hours. My Sunday, I'm trying to go to bed. If you start a game at 8 o'clock and then you have your whole, 3 hours, so it's 11 now, and now you're going to add in 6 overtimes, let's say. I know that's not going to happen every time, but you're adding 6 overtimes or some BS like that.
Well, it makes sense if the NFL was kind of similar to the NHL, instead of doing a 15-minute overtime, because that just drags on for so long. Instead of doing a 15-minute overtime, it could be like a 5-minute overtime or like even, a 7-minute overtime, whatever they want to do, and then do the college rule of let's go back and forth. Each team gets, a couple of chances. However they would do it so that way we weren't sitting here for an extra 15 minutes to watch overtime, then it's up in a tie.
But then it comes up in the controversy of, the time ran out and this team didn't get this equal amount of chances. So that's the problem with that. I just think it's fine how it is. How many times are you going to change it? There's going to be pros and cons to all, but I think if you change it again, it's just going to drag on. It's a little absurd. We got one more rule change or potential rule change, nothing official. And this actually is definitely influenced by the AAF.
Yeah. Something that's coming out of the AAF.
And this is why I'm not a fan of it. Instead, I like watching the AAF. It's kind of cool, but it's like let's leave that to the semi-pros basically. So instead of an onside kick, teams would be allowed to attempt a 4th and 15 from their own 35-yard line. If they convert, they maintain the possession. That's kind of interesting.
It's like backyard football.
Yeah, but to me, I wouldn't even mind if they did that in college. To me, this is professional. The onside kick shouldn't be easy. This is what they should try to do. I think the onside kicks are a little absurd to get now because of the new lineup rules. You can't run up to try to do it. You have to stay, kick the ball, then go. So I think that was kind of dumb. But onside kicks are supposed to be hard. They shouldn't be gimmies. Where this, I think it gives you an out. You'd still be allowed to kick an onside kick, but if you now get the choice, or no, you don't, but you would be able to have the choice to go for a 4th and 15. It's an interesting concept, but maybe it'd make it a little more exciting, but I don't like it. I think the onside kick is fine. It shouldn't be easy. If you're down, then it should be difficult. And I understand 4th and 15, James, that's pretty hard. Yeah, it is.
But the team is more likely also to get a penalty on that play. There's not really going to be as many penalties as an onside kick, you know what I mean? So if the defense commits a penalty on defense on a 4th and 15, it's way more likely they're going to pass interference.
And that's what I was wondering is, are they going to do that? Are they going to throw? Yes, they're going to throw flags, but how are they going to?
How does that factor
exactly?
in?
How are they going to factor that in if they get a PI where they're going to challenge it now? No, it just seems very complicated. It seems unnecessary. If you're down, get the onside kick. You better get it. You're down, so it's going to be hard. It just seems like
interesting too.
It makes it an easier way for the losing teams. Mm-hmm. You don't want to lose, play better. I know it sounds simple, but
no, that's basically all it is.
And if it comes down to how often do you actually have to kick an onside kick?
I think they're way more interesting. I don't know. You get kind of jazzed up when you see the onside kicking team come on the field. You see the stat 0-15 it's been this whole season for onside kicks, and then they do get it. That just makes the game so much better. Because it makes it
exciting. Oh my God, are they going to get it? And then they get it. It's unbelievable. Like the NFC Championship game with the Seahawks and Packers back in 2014. They got 2 in a row or something? I know they at least got one. It bounced up, and it's just, and the ball jumps up, and it's crazy.
There's a skill to it. There's a real skill to hitting onside kicks. It's very difficult, but that's, like you said, when you are down and you're trying to fight to get back in. Because at that point, if you're kicking an onside kick, chances are you're not even that close to winning the game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're kicking an onside kick,
You're at least
what's the
down by
last-
2 scores.
Exactly. You're down by 2 scores, or you're down by a score and don't have timeouts to stop the clock. So you don't have any more chances. So you might as well just throw everything but the kitchen sink at it and hope that you get it. I mean, that's kind of what you're doing when you kick an onside kick. I like that idea. I mean, I just think that it's way more fun. And then when they get it, it's all the better. It's like, because every time you get an onside kick, you're kind of like, they're probably not going to get it. But when they do get it, you freak out.
You said they're like, but there's always that 1%.
Exactly. There's always that guy. There's always that Pat McAfee who's going to find a way to just drill a perfect onside kick.
Pat McAfee getting his own onside kick.
Exactly.
Legendary.
We would not have replays like that if it weren't, if we were following AAF rules. That's why.
Exactly.